Today I'm going to speak on surrender. When a war is fought, often one party surrenders to the other, sometimes conditionally and sometimes unconditionally. The party surrendering feels defeated. It isn't a pleasant feeling. When we hear the word surrender, we automatically envision some sort of defeat. So if a religious or spiritual person suggests that you surrender everything to God, Buddha, Allah, and so on, a voice within us says, maybe some sort of conditional surrender is a better choice. I don't have a clue what complete surrender looks like, and I'm not so sure I really want to find out. In short, total surrender to some form of divinity seems near impossible, whereas a limited version may be useful, at least when you're praying for the fulfillment of your next desire. What about surrendering to someone you love? You may feel vulnerable in the process, but you trust them. Again, it's unlikely you will lose yourself completely in their embrace. There's still a clear distinction between me and you. So what is the value of unrestrained surrender? Can't we just live in a world of give and take? Maybe even skip the divine? Every time we give something, isn't that a form of surrender? Well, let's start at the top. I once had a conversation with a woman who had a very powerful near-death experience. She experienced divinity as unconditional love, and it changed her life dramatically. One day I asked her about free will. Did her experience provide her any insight into the nature of free will? She was struggling to put her experience into words, so I asked her, is free will as simple as choosing whether to surrender totally to one's divinity or not? She jumped in her chair and said, exactly. I thought, wow, that's a tall order. It suggests that freedom and surrender are inseparable. The inability to surrender at this level gives rise to the three veils of separation, limitation, and doership. In short, most of our choices are limited. This form of unconditional surrender, however, is a perpetual win for all, as well as a big reveal. So how is this total surrender accomplished? Well, the first step is to have at least an intellectual understanding that the Great Self dwells within you as you. To do this, imagine all your life experience, thoughts, emotions, sensations, plus what you imagine the future and past contains, plus what you imagine all beings have ever experienced. Then step out of the knowing and guessing bubble. You will probably come up with a big question mark. In short, you simply don't know what lies beyond your senses and mind. That's a start, because that immense void, full of infinite possibilities, is very much you. In fact, all your experience, past, present, and future, emerges from it. This is a basic intellectual understanding of your own divinity. Secondly, allow yourself to feel deeply into that vast space of unknowing without getting unnerved. Many people fear the unknown. It takes courage to face it. Eventually, you will develop faith that the transcendent is very much with you all the time. In short, faith is the first big step. Without it, you can't make meditation or other deeply transformative habits part of your life. The next big step is to develop devotion toward the divinity within you, which starts with gratitude for your transcendent nature as well as everything else in your life, the good, bad, and ugly. Devotion is the key element of surrender. Sincere devotion is a heartfelt offering of the limited self to the great self in all. It ultimately is selfless, which is a challenge because our reward system is always attaching a benefit, sometimes subconsciously, to what we think, say, feel, and do. Bliss, though rewarding, is not a benefit. It is simply beingness. Just imagine going to worship in a temple with a big Buddha statue looking down upon you. You offer the best food you can afford, the best incense and candles, then say to Buddha, I make this offering to you, Buddha, because you deserve it just for being you. Have a nice day. Then leave to carry on with the day's business. How many people you know worship in this way? Usually it's, take care of my elderly mother, Bring me money, a house, or a nice car. Heal my cancer. Allow my recently deceased friend to go to heaven. Help me give up smoking, and so on. Truly selfless offerings are rare. To become more selfless, understand that you are offering devotion to the divinity within you, from the small self to the big self. When your limited sense of self expands to include your own divinity, it encompasses all things, because the same divinity is within each of us. You become, by default, selfless. In short, the surrender I speak of here is, in effect, your divinity surrendering itself with unconditional love to itself. That's a real mind bender. Only the heart can understand this. If your next question is, well, what's the benefit of such surrender? Know that this question defeats itself because it demonstrates lack of faith, devotion, and selflessness. But never mind. Surrender carries a gift basket of goodies like unconditional love, wisdom, inner peace, abundance, and the ability to serve others without draining a drop from your entire being. What's that worth to you? If a house on a hill with a swimming pool, Ferrari in the garage, an 8-pack that makes you one of the sexiest people alive, the hottest looking mate by your side, a career to die for, and friends up the wazoo is what floats your boat, then of course, sail those waters. You might circle back to surrender someday when the mesmerizing attraction of all this dissipates like shiny dewdrops under the light of the morning sun. Surrender, or lack thereof, underpins the entire continuum from conceal to reveal, as well as across mindfulness, heartfulness, and playfulness. It is letting go of the 3 veils and rising within the continuum. Whereas a surrender in battle scenario makes the ego feel defeated until it can find a way to regain what is lost. Surrender of the ego to its own divine nature is an entirely different thing. The top of the tetrahedron, or crown mudra, is where awareness, attention, reward, mindfulness, heartfulness, and playfulness merge and become one. That is a very narrow portal of entry, a singularity in fact. It makes the eye of a needle seem like the space of this entire universe. The only way through that opening is total surrender of the individual self to the great self in all. On the way there, you start to realize that the solid world you know is also transcendent. In short, the great self is the only reality, both immanent and transcendent. Your individual sense of self merges into the ocean of divinity. Surrender at this level takes you home, to your soul's origin, a place that has been with you, often unrecognized, each second of your life. All other forms of surrender and letting go in daily life are but reminders that you are more than you imagine yourself to be. Thank you for listening. Namaste.